You cannot convince me that Jake Haro didn't hurt his baby and that his wife isn't covering for him. This is one of those cases that shakes you to your core because it doesn't just bring up anger or sadness. It brings up the kind of fear that makes you question how much darkness people are capable of hiding. And even worse, how often it's allowed to go unchecked. Today we're going to talk about the disappearance of 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro. This is a heartbreaking case that's surrounded by layers of deception and disturbing criminal history.
Got him out of the car seat and I laid him down and so I could get his diapers ready, and somebody said, "Hola," and that's all I remember. And I saw white.
If you have not seen my first video breaking down the initial disappearance, I'll link it in the description below. But in today's video, we're diving deep into the updates that are not just disturbing, but they're damning. So let's start with the most horrifying revelation that's come out since Emmanuel went missing. Jake Haro, the father of missing baby Emmanuel, has a criminal history that's so disturbing it makes his current situation feel less like a mystery and more like a pattern. In 2023, Jake was convicted of willful child cruelty, and court records show that in his previous relationship with a woman that went by the name Vanessa Avina, they both had an infant daughter that suffered severe injuries, and I mean devastating ones. She had a skull fracture, brain hemorrhage, and multiple broken ribs.
This is Jake Haro's child that he has the charges for child cruelty on. This information was shared by TikToker Abby Blabby. The cousin who now has custody of this child reached out to her and shared some additional information. So Abby writes, "I was contacted by Avina's cousin, that is Jake Haro's previous wife, mother to this baby, who adopted her and has taken care of her every day since the brutal attack. Promise Faith, formerly Carolina Rose, turned 7 on July 31st. As a result of what was done to Promise, she has to breathe using a tracheostomy tube, needing frequent suctioning so she doesn't suffocate on her own mucus. She is blind, she cannot walk, she cannot talk. She only has 3% of brain function left and is 100% dependent on all care." In addition to adopting their daughter, the cousin and her husband also adopted Jake and Vanessa's son, Carlos, formerly Jake Haro II. Carlos, who is 8 years old, was born with fetal alcohol syndrome. Vanessa received numerous DUIs while pregnant with Promise, but miraculously, she was born healthy. All of her ailments began after she was beaten and abused. And like Abby said, how can someone almost take their own child's life and not go to prison for it?
Doctors who treated the baby documented that these injuries were indicative of abusive head trauma, child physical abuse, and nutritional neglect. Jake Haro told an officer that when he went home after visiting the hospital, his sister opened the web browser on his iPad and found a search for how to feed a baby with broken ribs. Jake told the officer that he did not use the iPad at the time of that search, which was performed before the hospital visit. And as the investigation continued, the officer had wrote that Jake Haro blamed the injuries on his wife. They were both charged with willful child cruelty on October 5th, 2021, and pled guilty to the charge on June 8th, 2023. Despite all of this, Jake did not serve hard prison time. Instead, he was sentenced to 180 days in a sheriff's work release program and placed in a child abuser treatment program and allowed to be around children and have more of them. And now see what has happened. So let's get into the bath story. Jake's version of what happened to his infant daughter was that he said he was giving his daughter a bath in a kitchen sink and he accidentally dropped her. And doctors are saying, of course, that her injuries did not match that story. They said that it was physically inconsistent with a fall. That means a medical professional looked at that baby and said this was not an accident. Now let's fast forward to today, where we're being asked to believe another questionable story involving one of his infant children. If you watched my previous video or have been keeping up with the case, you know that Rebecca Haro, Jake's current wife and Emmanuel's mother, told police that she was in a parking lot of a Big Five sporting goods store in Yucaipa, California, changing Emmanuel's diaper in the back seat when she was suddenly attacked, knocked unconscious, and woke up to find her baby gone. People have been bringing up the bruise on her eye and several inconsistencies in her story. One, she's saying she was attacked from behind, so why would she have a black eye? And two, the bruise on her eye is clearly old. Like, this did not just happen. And now family, I don't know who, but somebody has leaked footage of her at a funeral on August 5th, so he was nowhere to be seen on August 5th.
I really appreciate you guys. I love each and every one of you, and Charlie loved each and every one of you. I will reach out to everybody and I will announce another celebration of life that we will have for him.
Oh, we had so much fun together.
Yeah.
I know.
Where's your baby?
Over there, he's like, I want water. I'm like, okay.
I haven't seen your little boy since November when he was born.
Yeah, he's fucking 3. He's gonna be 4. Look at mommy got. No, it was hanging over the chair. Lele will eat a quesadilla. Oh, RJ, say hi.
Hi, honey. I'm your Auntie Becky.
Say hi.
You're so handsome.
You don't have it, brother? We'll find it. RJ.
I don't want to say hi.
He said, no, I'm not saying hi. Yeah, that's Archie.
I'm gonna go inside. I'm burning.
Detectives have been working non-stop. For instance, on August 19th, they seized Jake Haro's vehicle as part of the investigation, and they searched the couple's home, even digging up parts of the yard.
This evening, police were spotted at the Cabazon home belonging to the 7-month-old's parents as investigators asked for the community's patience in this still very active case.
God Almighty, we pray in this moment when we...
Dozens showed up for a vigil, praying for the infant's safe return.
I got a baby at home. I'm gonna go home and hug when I get home. Extra tighter, because it's just that baby's innocent.
Those who showed up to this candlelight vigil focusing on the baby boy and not the growing rumors around town about what might have happened to him.
Give him back to me again, please. Don't harm my son.
They took numerous items, including their cell phones, 2 iPads, and 3 Xbox consoles. They're also reviewing surveillance footage from all the nearby areas.
We officially know there's surveillance. According to news reports today, the sheriff's office showed Rebecca some surveillance video that came from the liquor store across the street from the Big 5 store, and that surveillance video shows Rebecca falling in the parking lot. But it appears nothing else is corroborated about her story.
So far, there are still no answers, and to my knowledge, there was no surveillance camera in the Big 5 Sporting Goods parking lot, which is interesting to me, and you can't help but wonder, with all of these questionable stories that have been told, did they purposefully pick this parking lot because they knew there were no cameras there? Of course, it's extremely suspicious that after police uncovered these inconsistencies, that both Jake and Rebecca stopped cooperating with them and have continued not to cooperate. So their 7-month-old baby is missing and they just go silent. That's not two parents that want their baby back. I don't think anybody that loved their child and was shocked by this horrific situation that they're alleging happened would stop talking to the police or begging them for help. And I also don't think that any sane person that loved their child would have the type of reactions that they had in these videos. People on social media, and I really want to highlight this because the internet can be powerful in these cases, they have been comparing photos of Emmanuel from earlier in his life, and they're noticing something interesting. In his recent photos, his facial features seem subtly different, as if he may have been the victim of shaken baby syndrome. And that trauma lines up with Jake's history. This isn't a baseless speculation. This is a concern that is grounded in a pattern of abuse. So let's talk about Rebecca Haro, because her role in this is confusing. She's the one who told this wild, almost movie-like story about being attacked in public, but here's the thing. There's no proof that even happened. Not only is it there's so far no evidence, but where are the witnesses? Where's the witnesses? There was nobody in the parking lot to see it at all? Nobody? It's clear that she's acting, allegedly, as a stand-in for Jake, telling a story that shifts the blame away from him, away from the house, and into a narrative that makes it all someone else's fault. A random stranger and an unexplainable event, all she heard was hola. So it appears that Rebecca might be covering for him, and Jake may have put her in that position. So Jake's mother and sister have defended him publicly. They've spoken out in support of Jake and Rebecca despite knowing about his prior conviction of child abuse. So let me be clear, that's not just enabling, that is dangerous. This is the kind of culture that allows abuse to continue, and it's a culture where accountability is avoided and victims, even babies, are forgotten in favor of protecting the family. We've seen it in countless cases before, and this is following the same disturbing script. Even after being convicted of hurting a baby, not only is Jake Haro defended by his family, but he's also still allowed around children. The amount of people that it appears is protecting them is enraging. His wife, his mother-in-law, and his sister. His 2-year-old daughter thankfully has now been removed from the home by Child Protective Services, but why was he allowed near these kids in the first place after what happened? A man convicted of child abuse should not be living under the same roof as vulnerable children, period. The system failed, and Emmanuel may have paid the price. He would probably still be here if this was handled correctly the first time. So at this point, all we can do is follow the facts, and the facts are painting a very dark, very damning picture. There's a man with history of brutal child abuse, a mother who stops cooperating after telling a suspicious story, a family who defends him despite knowing what he's done, and a baby boy who hasn't been seen in over a week. If you know anything about the whereabouts of Emmanuel Haro, please contact the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office, and you can also remain anonymous. Thank you so much for watching this video. Leave me a comment in the description down below what you think about this case, and I will see you soon for another video.